All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rick Godley. We are at Black Rifle Coffee. Black Rifle Coffee. Tim Sherman is going to conduct his seminar here, and it's on journaling. Are you waiting on me? No? No, you?
We're good.
No, I am good, so some say.
But thank y'all for being here today. Hope you all are comfortable. I just want to thank y'all for being here. I think I know every one of you, seen y'all before. Appreciate you coming. There have been some things that have changed since we have seen each other in the past. We do have the company that y'all are well aware of, which is Victory Military Surplus, which is my military store in Monroe. But what we did, we added on Walk in My Boots, which is a nonprofit. And the nonprofit is geared for veterans and assisting them. And I'm Tim Sherman. This is Shirley Wesselhoeft. You know her. And my inspiration is from her book. She wrote a book of her late husband and his life story. And it was published, and now people all over the world know who he was. He's deceased, but now they know his story. And Shirley, I hope, will continue with another book and writing a little more about what he went through and also what she went through as a spouse of a veteran. But thank y'all for being here. Thank Rick Godley for doing what he does. He's a master at what he does, and we sure appreciate it. A little bit about my background is went to college here in Monroe, ULM. Went to the Marine Corps right after college, after getting a master's degree. Went in and flew helicopters for the Marine Corps. Spent 6 years. After 6 years, needed to build a little bit more time up to get my dream job, which is fly for U.S. Customs, because U.S. Customs did anti-drug work. They flew military equipment, and I did get on with them. Spent 10 years doing that. But unfortunately left there. I wish I'd have stayed due to the next administration, but our hands were tied basically at one point, and I went ahead and said, well, I think I'll just go to an airline job and I will apply. And I did apply for the job, and I got hired on at UPS and flew 20 years with UPS Airlines. So that's my background, and that's why I kind of like aviation. But I love my veterans, and thank you all for being here. Thank you for your service, and thank you for your attention. Shirley, you want to introduce yourself real quick and tell them a little bit about your story.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Phone call, I forgot to turn my phone down. I'm Shirley Wesselhoeft, excuse me, and this is the book I wrote with my husband. You may be familiar with it. You see, you're nodding your head like you're familiar with it. I have sold it. We spent many a Saturday at the Ruston Farmers Market, all over. Anyway, we wrote this book together. It's about his story and how he was taken. He was an American citizen, and he was interned during World War II in an internment camp down in South Texas, and then was traded. He and 1,100 Germans were traded with the Nazis into Germany during the wartime. So they lived in Hamburg, which was one of the most heavily bombed cities, and he managed to survive that. In 1958, he was told he was American, he could come back, and he arrived in the New York area and went directly to the recruiting office and joined the Air Force. He ended up serving in Vietnam, and one of the times that he served in Vietnam, he was a member of the 8th Air Force. That was the very unit that was bombing him in Hamburg. He later served in it in Vietnam. I think that's kind of a little interesting debate there. So that's our book, and I do want to do a little promotional this Thursday at Texas Roadhouse in West Monroe. We're having a dine to donate, and if y'all want to come and have dinner at the Texas Roadhouse, if you'll bring one of these, we'll get 10% of whatever your check is when you pay for your meal.
This Thursday?
This
Yes, sir.
Thursday. And they're open from 3 to 6. So you
Three
can go as
to
early-
10.
I mean, excuse me, from 3 to 10. You're absolutely right, 3 to 10. Oh, sorry, that's a big
all right.
mistake. 3 to 10. But you can come as early as 3 if you want to. Most of us like to eat early these days. So there is that. But you need this for us to get credit. So y'all be sure and pick one of these up if you can come out to Texas Roadhouse. Okay, our book did receive a silver award from the Military Writers Society of America. Now, that's a group, obviously, it's a group of military people that write. And it's a real good group for you to be in if you are interested in writing or in learning about writing. They do a lot of education like this on how to write, teaching military veterans, military members and veterans how to write better. So that's a real good organization, and I've just learned that because of one of their members giving a substantial amount of money, they're offering a membership at a reduced rate. So y'all can, if you're interested in that, you can get with me about it, and I'll be happy to head you toward them. I think another veteran is coming in.
Good.
Hopefully he's coming to join us. So, are you ready to start, Tim?
Almost. I'm going to help him.
Okay.
Got it? Yeah, I am ready.
We have Tim to thank for the chicken salad sandwiches.
Come on in.
Come on in.
Right here.
How's it going?
Good. How are
Real
you?
good. We're glad
Richard
to have you.
Maxwell.
Tim Sherman. Good to see you.
Jim, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Come on and have a seat. We've got
How's it
some,
going, Frederick P? It's doing all right. Got up this morning.
we do have some chicken salad sandwiches over there if you want a bite to eat.
Thank you, I probably do.
Well, I was just saying we have Tim.
Red. Red. Coffee right now?
What, you need anything? What you
He's
need?
gonna get me some coffee.
All right. I'll get it. You like it black?
Yes, please. No, I don't need anything to eat.
You don't need,
Instead of
All right, we're at Black Rifle Coffee, waiting for Tim Sherman. This is the first of two free journaling seminars for veterans, for their families as well as their friends until we get situated. That's Shirley Wesselhoeft. She's here as well. Got a veteran that just came in. Tim is serving him. Got four in the house. Want to thank Black Rifle Coffee for opening up the doors and the floors here to make this possible.
Doing is
Here's Tim Sherman.
we're talking about our nonprofit, which is to assist veterans, and we're wanting to. We've realized that there's kind of a gap, and everybody's aware of it, especially if you're a veteran, where loved ones want to know possibly what you did in the service, and we found out that the service member might not want to talk, but maybe they do. Maybe they are not talking because they just said, hey, I was just doing my job, really not a lot to say, but their kids still want to know. Their maybe grandkids want to know, and at some point, they're more apt to tell their story, usually later on in life. And so we're trying to fill that gap, bridge that gap with a little education and awareness. And so our mission statement, I'll just pull that up real quick, if I can.
it's here, it's on here.
Yeah, I'll do that. But our mission statement is to assist our veterans. We do that with monies. We're going to have a golf tournament coming up in May. And we're hoping with that golf tournament, we'll be able to do things, hire maybe people that have a service. Say if you need a sink fixed or something that you really need done, we can find someone to do it for you, and maybe they'll do it at a reduced rate, as far as they might give us a break on equipment or service. So we're trying to get those people and have them aware of what we do and get them on board. But we're also educating, encouraging, and demonstrating to the veterans and the loved ones the importance of sharing their stories. And we say that is the most honorable time of one's life, is their military service. And I believe every veteran can say that is no doubt. That's the time in their life where they've had the most responsibility they've ever had. Once they get out, they usually realize that it was very demanding, that they served, but they don't have that same responsibility they had, and usually that was a very, very young age. So it is very honorable. And if you're a serviceman, veteran, thank you for your service. Appreciate you. So that's basically what we're here today. My story is, I think if I wrote something, if I wanted to write a book, I don't think it'd even be on my military service. It wouldn't be that. It wouldn't be on that. And I thought about this, and there was an event that happened after high school with me, and I had some friends that were in NJROTC with me, Navy Junior ROTC, and we were very close, and I had a lot of great friends, and I think I would pride myself on my friends because I chose them very wisely. But unfortunately, one day, I lost one of my friends, and I don't know why I'm here today, and he didn't make it. It was a drowning incident. And so I'm here, he's not, and the most difficult time in my life was that few minutes, and then later on trying to explain to his mom what happened. And I never, ever told the story until probably 6 months ago. I first told Shirley, and then I told some people that are on our committee, and that went on, that was a podcast actually, and then the last journaling class I did mention it there too. So I'm just now starting to tell that story, and it's a story in itself, and it's something that I wish I would have put down on paper. Maybe if I would have journaled, or if I would have done something to help myself be able to cope with it, to feel more comfortable sharing it. I wish I'd have done it years ago. So now I'm starting to do it right now. And it's 50 years later, almost 50 years later. So that is why I'm so passionate about this. I guess the other is a book that I read. It was Letters from Dad, and it talked about fathers writing letters to their wife and their sons and their daughters, so they won't have any questions about who they are whenever they're gone. And they can express their emotions, they can express their feelings, they can express their love through those letters. And we're going to be doing that in the near future, Rick, also, with a version of Letters from Dad, but making it, gear it toward veterans and their loved ones. So it'll kind of piggyback with what we're doing here today. So journaling, I don't know, let me see if I can get this going.
This is going to be our Cliff, mine and Tim's reminders of what we want to talk to you about. So.
Yeah. So if we talk about journaling, we're just talking about getting your thoughts, your emotions, your ambitions, your goals, and gratitude together and compile it. And so it is a natural process. It's something that we all can do. It's just, when was the last time you wrote something? When was the last time you wrote something with feeling in it? You know, the guys don't like to show their emotions. They don't like to show their feelings. They sure don't like to write about it. But it is therapeutic, especially if you are a veteran and you want to get some things told later on to a loved one. Then it's easier to talk to yourself initially at first, and that's why we started a journaling class, because we think it's just that much more beneficial than starting out writing. But what you can do is begin to journal, or you can, come on in. Y'all can begin to write, and come on in. We're just doing a seminar.
Just getting started.
No, come on through. Yeah,
You're so deep.
yeah.
No, y'all come have some
Yeah.
coffee or whatever.
So-
chocolate.
If you can get your thoughts down on paper, you're more apt to accept some things, accept your past, and rationalize things, and that will enable you to eventually tell your story orally or write a book. There's many different ways. The artwork that you see that's scattered around in 511 and in here are stories. It's just like reading it out of a book, but it's put on art. It's put on artwork or in a painting. And so those paintings tell a story. And someone had to do that, and they had to share it. And so you get books, you get periodicals, you can get music comes from stories. We can do an oral history. Say if you wanted to do an oral history, after being comfortable with what you've already put down on paper, you can go to like the Chenault Museum, and you can have your story put into the Library of Congress, and it's there forever. It's on a CD. Anybody can access it. So if a loved one, if you've passed, your loved one wants to know a little bit more about what you did, that oral history is in the Library of Congress. They can pull it up anytime they want to. And it's you there being videoed and your audio telling your story. So journaling is a natural process. It's a collection of thoughts, as I mentioned, feelings, emotions, goals, gratitude, but whatever helps you is what you're doing. You're not wanting to put down anything that you can dwell in, but you do want to bring those things up, but the journaling process keeps you from dwelling in it. And that's why it's so therapeutic. It lets you accept what your past was, and your past is your past, and that you can't do anything about it. But types of journaling, there's private journaling, there's public journaling, and then there's daily journaling. And those are just a few. And then they can be broken down, like in the daily journaling can be, say, if you set goals for your life, you're putting out, you're getting your thoughts together, and you want to, I'm losing my train of thought, but you're wanting to get everything on paper, so you got to know where you're going, you got to know where you're at, and you got to know where your destination is, and then work from there on. And so you have to be motivated in order to stay steady with your daily journaling. But daily journaling can also be done, maybe if you've been out a month and not have written, you can always pick it up. But it's still called daily journaling. But you need to create a habit of doing daily journaling. So journaling, we want to start at, but you can always just write stories, whatever you would want to do. So the benefits are you're being honest with yourself, you're recalling, you're remembering. It inspires creativity, and you're more in control. You're more in control of your life while you're journaling, because your memories are not taken over. You're actually able to put it down, accept it, and have a separation, a distance from it. And so it reduces stress or depression. Where am I? You see me? More self-aware. And the only problems, and you tell me, what kind of obstacles would you run across before you journal, do you think? I mean, you haven't, have y'all journaled before? You have? You?
I've got a book and put stuff in.
Okay, great, great.
My problem is just doing the writing. I'm on
Doing the physical writing?
typing.
You like typing it? Great,
Yes.
great, that's great. That's great. What about yourself?
I had a little book I would write stuff in
Okay, when was that? And are you still doing it?
10 years ago.
Stories?
Yeah.
Stories? Good, good. Anybody else? None?
I keep one on my computer,
Okay,
and I have to rewrite it every time the computer crashes.
yeah.
It's called Riding the Skids.
What's it called?
Riding the Skids.
Riding the Skids.
Until you sit in a Huey with your feet out on the skids, you've never
Yeah.
ridden.
Exactly. Exactly. That's great. That's great. Good title. So I'm going to encourage you to continue doing what you're doing. There are pitfalls, I guess, obstacles, and the obstacles are ourselves. We tend to talk ourselves out of it. We tend to make time for other things. We just don't prioritize very well. We don't manage our time very well. And we talk ourselves out of it. So our problems, and since it's a natural process, it should come easier. And you have to just sit, as you know, you have to sit, make time for it, know where you're going, know what you're doing, set a goal, and you have to sit, relax, and just let your thoughts flow. And that gets into the creative mind. So, we tend to avoid it. We procrastinate. The intimidation of the blank page, self-conscious, lack of time, perfectionism, like the paralysis of analysis, overwhelmed or not knowing, exactly what you can start on maybe. So I would suggest just to start by being still and relax and think about what other people want to know. Who maybe has asked in the past what if they want to ask, if they've asked what you did, you can always start there and involve others and not just yourself. Don't put so much pressure on yourself, but involve others with it. And Shirley is going to continue and just go into, I'm kind of doing the why we should be doing it, and she's going to dive into the how we do it. So are there any other questions right now for me or Shirley?
I ain't much on writing,
Okay.
but I got an educated son-in-law that's retired.
Mm-hmm.
And if I need something, letter wrote up for somebody for something,
Yeah.
said, "Hey, David, come by the house a few minutes."
Yeah.
And I tell him what I want, and then he,
Okay. Well, you can always write where you can only see it. You only know what it is. But in Shirley's case, her husband was blind. He could not do anything himself. He dictated everything to her. And so, same situation. And he dictated the whole entire book to her. So, but don't hesitate. Don't talk yourself out of writing because of your writing, and maybe even start using a computer.
well, my kids tell me I need one. I said, "Why do I need a computer? It won't
Yeah.
mow my grass.
Right.
It won't put gas in the lawnmower. It won't
Yeah.
even go out to the mailbox.
Yeah.
It won't cook my breakfast. It won't make the bed up." I mean, I can't think of a reason I need one.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can call it a word processor. Maybe just get a little computer or typewriter. Get you a typewriter.
Yeah, we're out there in the mall.
There you go.
You gotta know how to spell.
Very good.
See, my problem is I went to Ruston High School.
Uh-huh.
I graduated from Ruston High School. The only reason I passed these is because I carried my teacher a homemade jar of jelly.
I don't know. Rick probably can't hear that, but that's great. He said he
You don't
didn't.
need to hear that.
He said he didn't. He only passed because of a jar of jelly to his teacher. So that's great. That's great. But you can always write your own story, and there are people that want to know, and it seems like,
$3.
yeah.
You could actually.
They wanna know.
put it on a little tape recorder,
That's right.
let your son-in-law type it up.
Yeah.
I think I got one of them.
Yeah.
I wish I had the recordings that my brother sent my parents from Vietnam. He would make tape recordings
Yeah. Right.
and send them tapes in the mail,
Right.
and they'd sit there and listen to
Oh,
them
that's great.
over and over.
That's great.
I wish I had them.
I
Right.
had one when I was on the city council. I had stuck it in my pocket so I could remember
You ready, Shirley?
what some of them were about.
I don't know how to do this.
Okay, I'll do this for you. Okay. Let me trade places with you. Well, let me do this. I'll do it.
I can see it. Okay, one of the first things you wanted to do, what's helpful, is decide on a place. Where do you, okay, can you hear me now? Can't hear me. Ricky's having trouble hearing me. Is there anything we can do about that? Speak up. He says speak up. Okay, I'm going to try to speak up. Can you hear me better now? Okay, I'll try to speak up.
There you go.
What we want to do is decide it helps to decide on where you're going to do this. Maybe you write best sitting out on the porch listening to birds sing, if it's warm enough, or if you're bundled up enough. Or you have an easy chair you like to sit in, you like to sit by the fire. Pick a place to do it where it's quiet, where you can think, where you can get your thoughts together. It probably should be private because we want you to feel free to write whatever you want to write. It's not for anybody else but you. So it needs to be a private place, not where somebody's going to be coming looking over your shoulder saying, "What are you writing?" Because we want you to feel free to write whatever you feel like writing. It's for your eyes only, okay? Be comfortable. Get whatever you need, your cup of coffee, your pipe, your beer, definitely your pen and paper, whatever you need to be comfortable. And your goal, what we'd like to see you do as a goal is to do this daily. That can be hard to do, and we're all going to miss a day here and there, even if we mean to do it, even if we're in the habit of doing it daily. We're still going to miss a day every now and then, but just get back to it if you do. This journal can be your best buddy. This is where you can say anything you want to say, and you're not going to be criticized, because this is your best buddy that you're talking to. It's for you. And we want to talk about why do you want to write? Do y'all have any thoughts on that? Why you would want to write? You go ahead.
I guess so, whenever you lose your mind, you go back and read what you've written.
Well, yeah, and so your families can do that. Hey there, Tom. Okay.
It's good
Ready?
therapy.
It is good therapy. Writing, in fact, in our last class, we had one of our veterans say, "I'm better, but I would have been better faster had I written or had I talked." And we just really believe that it is good therapy to get your feelings, get your stories down on paper, get whatever happened down on paper. You need to be realistic about the times and the places that you pick, particularly the time. Like Tim could say he's going to get up 10 minutes earlier in the morning and he'd do it. I'm not going to do that. If I say I'm going to get up 10 minutes earlier and write, it's not going to last very long. And I will have broken that habit pretty quickly. So do something that you feel like you can realistically do consistently. What you're going to need is you're going to need some paper. We've given you a journal. Tom, we got a journal for you if you need one. And you need whatever you like to write with, your pencil, your pen, and if you're Marine, you probably want to use crayons if you haven't eaten them yet.
Said put that in there.
Tim served in the Marine Corps, so I have to get my jab in at him when I can. Okay, so getting started, you can write, you can draw, but we think that probably drawing exclusively is not the best thing. You need to draw and write, but you can draw. You can use single words, incomplete sentences. Don't worry about punctuation. Don't worry about this. No, your English teacher is not going to grade this. This is for you and you alone. So just, if you got one word comes to your mind, put that down, because it may jog you to write something else later on. One word is fine. Incomplete sentences. Don't worry about punctuation. Reasons to write, like you say, maybe you can forget later on and you want to, it could be a good memory jogger for you later on. If you get it now, maybe you can't quite remember that 10 years from now or 20 years from now, but you wrote it back then. I've got a journal I wrote when I was in high school, and it's kind of funny to go back and read that. But a legacy for your family is a good one, for your family, for your community, and for your country. Like this one, my husband's book is definitely a legacy for our family, but the importance of that, it's incredibly important, but it's been eclipsed by what this has meant to other people. So many people have read this book and have commented to me about it. And so it's a legacy to other people besides just his immediate family. It will help keep you in a good frame of mind. If you use humor, that can help keep you in a good frame of mind. You can get your ideas and opinions out there. Get them out of yourself and out onto paper. Social interaction. Well, this is what we're doing here. Hopefully you guys will come back next week, like in our previous class. Our veterans came back and shared with us what they had written, and it was really pretty cool. And it wasn't necessarily all about the military, and some of it, when they told it, they realized that they had other stories within that. Like one particular guy was a scuba diver, and he just said he was a scuba diver and went on. That was just kind of, to him, that was just a little aspect of the story. But he could have talked about his scuba diving. He could write a book probably on scuba diving, his scuba diving experience. This is a good way for you to process bad experiences. And one word that we've seen recently used is exposure therapy. And like Tim told you that he had this bad experience when he was in high school. Well, now he's told it 4 or 5 times. The more times he tells that, the less pain he's going to feel from it. The first time you tell it, you feel a lot of pain. Once you've told it 10 or 20 or 30 times, that starts to go away. You start to deal with it better. Finally deal with it. We'll just say not better, but finally deal with it. It'll keep your brain active. We all want to do that, right? We want to keep our brains active as we get older. And it'll keep you busy. There's the for you men especially, there's the dreaded honey-do list. Well, you can avoid that. I'm busy writing. Hey, I'm writing now. This is important to me. I need to spend this time writing, okay? So I think we've passed that. I've already kidded you about the crayons.
I probably duplicated that.
Oh, we duplicated it, okay. We like to use the slogan, begin on one true step. This is the first letter of the word boots, and so we've adopted this slogan, begin on one true step. This is what we want you to do. You can write about a specific event, something that was funny that happened, something that was meaningful. something that you'd like, maybe there's a story you tell, and you tell your family all the time, that happened to you when you were in the military. You can tell that. It's a story that you've told a bunch of times. You can get that on paper so that it's recorded like you want it recorded, not like your family wants it recorded. Anything that's important to you, just anything, whether it has to do with your military service or not. I mean, I have a story I've told all the time about letting the air out of a whole bunch of tires, but I was too young to know better, y'all. I promise y'all I was too young to know better. But we did let the air out of a whole bunch of tires. I was way too young to be called a juvenile delinquent. I wasn't even in school yet. I just thought it was real cool that when you stuck that stick in there, you could let go of it and the air would just hiss out. We did that. And now I've told it on the air. So, let's see. The stories that you've often told your families about, that's one that we've told about. Things that happened to you in training. Things that happened in the war zone. Maybe your best or worst or worst assignment. Maybe it's a buddy you met, somebody you want to write about, somebody really interesting. Like when we met Wes, he was really, really an interesting person. And we met a lot of interesting people. You know, we all meet really interesting people in the military. And that's something we can write about, is somebody we knew in the military that was really interesting. Is it still that? You can write about what it was like to be on patrol in the jungle of Vietnam or in the caves. I don't know anything about this, in the caves of Afghanistan. You can describe maybe something about how your family feels about your service. Maybe your family is proud of it. Maybe your family didn't want you to go. Maybe your father was in the Marine Corps and you joined the Army and that wasn't so cool. He thought you ought to join the Marine Corps. Anything like that. Let's see. Did they ever talk to you about it? Did your family ever talk to you about it? I don't know what that's about. The purpose of writing about someone else. I don't know what that is. This is about writing someone else's story. A lot of times, I've been in writing classes and people are wanting to write about their father's service or their grandfather's service, say in World War II, and they have to research it. And so that's one of the things that we can do, is we can write about somebody else's service and we can research that, find out, did they ever talk about it? Did they ever do an oral history? Is their oral history recorded at the Library of Congress or at the World War II Museum or anywhere like that? And one thing we encourage you to do when you're writing about any of this is write about your senses. What did you, if it happened to you, what did you, or even you can surmise if you're writing about somebody else, unless they've told you. What did you hear, smell, taste, feel with your hand, your body? Were you cold? Were you wet? Was it raining? Was it snowing? Was it blowing sand in your face? You know, what did you feel physically, and what did you feel emotionally about it? Did you feel like you were doing something worthwhile? Did you feel like you were this wasn't going to make any difference to anybody anywhere ever? Or were you really proud of what you were doing? You knew you were doing something worthwhile. The main thing is write something. Write something. When you look at that blank page, put something down on it. Write a single sentence describing the story that you want to talk about, and then you can make bullet points about where it occurred, and kind of just make an outline is what this is talking about. So go ahead. That's just make bullet points. If that helps you make an outline of what you're going to talk about, or just write. I couldn't make an outline. I just have to just write. So that about wraps that up for today, right?
Yes, I did want to know, ask questions of you. With your experiences in writing, does any of this hit home? Did any of this happen to you? Did you use this material? Was it difficult or was it easy to write? And how long ago was that? When you wrote your book, or your memoirs, is that right?
No, I never wrote any memoirs.
Okay, so when you wrote, were you writing,
It was, yeah, mainly for me,
okay,
because I have no kids and
okay,
my kinfolk give a diddly squat about what
okay,
I did.
yeah,
Well, let me just say something like that. We've run into that too. You know, veterans that have people that don't care, that really don't care. But let me tell you, there are people out there that do.
Yeah.
There are people in this world that want to know what you did while you were serving. I guarantee it.
Well, you know, some of that I really don't want to remember.
And you should, and if you
That'll
don't
just
want
throw
to,
me
then
into
don't.
depression again.
Well, we don't want that. We
Yeah.
want you to, this is to help you. It's to help you.
yeah. And while you're writing, we want it hopefully for you to accept it where you can distance it, you know, where you can accept what's going on and continue writing and maybe it brings up more memories, but the more you write, hopefully, the more you're talking to yourself, but the more you can share with people that might want to know, and there are people that do. What about you, Steve, on your writing? Did you do?
I've got a book that my daughter-in-law gave me,
Okay,
and it's got a question. It's just mainly.
a guidebook, yeah.
Answering that thing
I'm gonna remember.
about your family stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
You just answer the question so that grandkids can read it.
okay, I got you. And what about yourself? What about you on your writing?
It's just writing stuff,
Same thing.
homework assignment type stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I had a creative writing course in college.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? You can use your military experience to write nonfiction. You know, you don't, I mean, it can be based on something that's true, but it can be nonfiction. We did give y'all a packet, and it has thought-provoking questions to help you, and that's what this is for, is like what you got. This is just things that you can look at and say, I don't know what to write about. Well, maybe something here will prompt an idea, and you can just use this as something to, like the journal I had when I was in high school. It had questions. You know, what's your favorite class? You know, what's your favorite activity? I had the goal. I was going to be the state champion twirler. I don't even know if there was a state champion twirler, and it certainly was not going to be me. I guarantee you. But that was in that book I just read the other day. That was my goal, was to be a state champion twirler. And I honestly don't know if there was such a thing. But anyway, these questions like this, or ask your family if you want to. What questions do you have about when I served?
Yeah.
And they might come up with some real doozies for you.
Yeah, and you can always get in touch with friends maybe that you served with. Get with them, see how they saw certain situations that you were in, or maybe they can add to your story. Maybe you can add to theirs. And just the more you write, see, it does tend to bring up more memories, especially when you're sitting and relaxing and trying to get all of this compiled. It tends to bring up old memories, and please write them down. There are times when certain times of the day, this is kind of a health coaching type thing, but there's a book out on just writing what you are thinking when you go to bed and when you wake up in the morning, because your mind is still in that creative mode before it starts gearing up for the day. And you can actually, if you had pencil and paper handy, those thoughts, those creative thoughts you're having, productive thoughts, you can actually jot down. But if you go into the middle of the day, you're going to forget everything because of all the stimulus that's out there. But to write, it needs to be a habit. And if it's a habit, you have to stay motivated to do that. So try to find your motivation. Find out where you work the best, what interests you the best, what's around you that you can surround yourself with while you're writing, and just get in a place where you can just be by yourself and get creative.
And one of the things that we encouraged in our last class was that you have a buddy that you're accountable to. Like somebody else in here, you know, if you want to stay in touch, or with us, any of us on our team. Tim and I just, this past year, we read through the Bible in a year, and we did it chronologically, by the way, but I don't think I would have ever finished it had I not been accountable to Tim.
Yeah.
I mean, we usually didn't talk about it, but we did just check in with each other every 2 or 3 days and say, you know, you caught up on your reading, you know, where you at, you know, in your reading, and that kept me on track, I know.
Yeah.
And I really think it would have been real hard to finish that, a whole year of it, if I didn't have somebody to be accountable to.
Yeah. It's, if you're your own support, sometimes we fall short. So that's why we need things around us that motivate us. We need other people that motivate us. But try to find a goal. See where you're going. See where you want to go with this. Draw that line. You're going to veer off that line while you're navigating because of one reason or another. But know where that line is and get back on it. And your destination is what you want. Do you want to do an oral history? Do you want to do a book? Do you just want to have information for your loved ones? You know, do you want to write letters? And go out and do it. Stick your neck out. If you're comfortable, you probably won't do it. If you're uncomfortable, you're more apt to do something different. When you do something different, you're learning. So just keep that in mind. And we all want to grow and improve, every one of us. But in order to do that, we have to do something different. So that's what's going to enable us to grow. So if journaling is something different, I suggest get on it, do it, but know where you're going. Know if you want to just write maybe nonfiction, fiction, stories, but know maybe where you're going with it and also who to include. But that is all I have. You, Shirley, anything?
I think that's it.
Rick, you have anything for us?
We'd like to see all of y'all come back same time.
Same time
place.
next week, next Monday.
This has helped me jog my memory a little bit.
Good.
Wonderful.
Good.
Wonderful. That
And
is so,
I
that
know,
is good
you know,
to hear.
and that's part of it. And that's why we're around a bunch of people that are like-minded, so
I'll give you
feel
one-
free.
I'll give you one example that these guys know about.
Mm-hmm.
I went in the Navy, volunteered, been in the Navy to get away from the house. I've never been no farther than Mississippi. But I come back, went in the Navy, I come back, and Steve Lefford went in the Navy. Steve and I were very good friends. He's a little younger than me, because me and his brother was pretty close too, Tommy Lefford. But a lot of times after he got shot by the sniper, died in 20 minutes, sometimes I felt guilty about him going in the Navy, maybe because of me.
I can relate to that story.
May not been because.
But it might not be. But I know, I've always thought of that. It's always bothered me.
That's a good thing for you to write about. Get it down on paper. Process
I
it.
prayed about it a lot.
That's a good thing too. That's a really good thing.
Then I got a nephew, 60 years old, died 6 months ago with cancer. He spent 16 years in the Navy, 10 years on the submarine. And sometimes I felt like he went in because of me. But that's when old Clinton, I saw her. Anyway, that's when he said, okay, guys, y'all got 16 years, I'll give you full retirement. If you get out, I'll give you full retirement. Well, he had full retirement about 6, 7 years, and they cut off his retirement. They didn't cut off his benefit. He could still go to the PX, and he could still have the medical stuff, but he cut off his check. Clinton done that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. That is the first of the journaling here. We're at Black Rifle Coffee Company. Tim Sherman and Shirley Wesselhoeft conducting this. You can find out more information simply by getting in touch with Tim. Tim's number right there, 318-307-2694, 318-307-2694. Journaling seminar. They're going to be back here next week. Next week, once again, Black Rifle Coffee Company, right in the 511 by Karl Malone Shopping Center. And I want to thank Chris Mason and Stephanie Callender for making this possible, opening up the house here at Black Rifle Coffee Company.